your deepest needs. You satisfy the dreams classify. You satisfy. Just a little more. Just a little more.
All right, hello. Welcome back to Night Terrors, the horror podcast in the vein of all the other very similar horror podcasts, which detail the morbid and the macabre of films, past, present, and hopefully future, depending on how the rest of 2020 works out. I'm your host, Darian Farrell, and with me, as always, is my co-host and kid brother, Nolan Farrell.
Hi.
Sorry.
Fuck. God damn it. God damn it.
So today's movie, as promised in the previous episode, is 1985's Lifeforce, just like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, also directed by Tobe Hooper. If Texas Chainsaw Massacre was the movie that put Hooper on the map, Lifeforce is the one that took him off it. It's the movie that ended his career. So before we get into the meat and potatoes, the bangers and mash, the tango and cash of things, I wanted to shout out our numbers.
Our numbers.
Our numbers, yeah, our stats, our rookie numbers. We got to pump them up. We got to pump those numbers up. Got to pump those numbers up. I mean, the podcasts are like up to an hour in length. So I mean, the fact that on YouTube we have 93 views
on a 1 hour video,
on a 1 hour video, a 1 hour podcast for our Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then on SoundCloud we have 74 listens. So that's great. And then 2 likes on SoundCloud and 5 likes on YouTube. And also on SoundCloud, we actually have 2 other horror podcasts which follow us for some reason. If Podcasts Could Kill and Frightmares. Those are the 2 who are following us. So that's great. I mean, that's neat. We haven't done anything in like
2 years.
2 years. So I mean, I don't know why they're still following us. I don't even know why they followed us in the first place.
But we appreciate your unwavering support.
Yes, yeah, of just being there. That's great.
With the numbers, we have a studio announcement.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. We have a studio. Yeah. So the first episode was recorded in my closet.
I'd say it's about 10 square feet of the actual the floor plan of his closet.
Yeah.
Well, so we were contorting in there when we recorded the previous episode. But now, holy shit.
We practically doubled.
We have doubled size.
Because now we're recording in Nolan's closet.
We're in my closet now, which is twice as big. So now we actually get to sit in chairs with this little, table thing here.
Yeah. We got, a little, it's like a nightstand drawer, thing that we've just draped a towel over for the purposes of soundproofing.
Yeah, and we also have a lamp in here. We didn't have any light source in the other one.
Yeah, so it was us just staring at each other in darkness.
In darkness, yeah. Talking for an hour.
Yeah.
So it kind of sucked, but this is much more better, I'd say.
Much more better?
Much more better.
Much more better?
What's the third thing I could add for my fucking illiteracy? Much more... Oh, much more better. That's 3, so I'm going to make it 4.
Yeah.
Much more...
Very much more better. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's very much more better.
Yes. That's how great it is to double the size of the studio.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So that's a great announcement. I think we're comfortable in this new studio space.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got the upgrade.
Which was always an option.
It was always an option.
We were just too fucking stupid
to realize it. Yeah.
Use it.
Yeah. So right. So moving back to initial thoughts then. What did you think of this movie, Nolan? Because I know that you're not the biggest horror aficionado, and that's kind of the whole reason why you're even a part of this, is to sort of get that kind of
neutral,
that half of,
if not even possibly a viewpoint of more disdain.
Right. for this particular genre of film.
Yeah. So
how did you like 1985's Lifeforce?
I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say it was fantastic.
Okay.
I think that's the general consensus.
That's your general consensus.
Yeah, and I think you'd agree with me on that. That
yeah,
not
I mean,
great
it's not,
by any means.
No, it's not the greatest, but it's definitely. I
you enjoyed it much more than I did.
thoroughly enjoyed this much more than you did.
Yeah.
I think. But yeah, I think that's because I don't feel like it's really so bad. I think
I swallowed some vitamin water. Wrong.
Yeah,
we're good now.
Do not choke on your aspirations.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed this a lot more, and I think for all of the movies we're going to review on this podcast, I'm probably going to enjoy them quite a bit more than you, just on a general sort of scale.
I'd say that's accurate.
Yeah, just because I have a lot more fun with shit, I guess.
I don't like shit.
No. Well, I think most people don't. But you just have to have a more refined palate.
Whatever refining needs to be done for you to acquire the beautiful
the
taste of feces.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Is that an oxen? I taste. Quite different from the buffalo.
No. Oh, is that a shortbread collier? Whatever the fuck. Purebred.
Purebred, there you go.
No, shortbread is just a bread, isn't it? Like an actual bread, yeah, like food.
I don't fucking know anything about bread.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
I just know whole grain. Yeah, whole grain.
Whole grain.
Yeah, whole grain.
Yeah.
You have white bread.
Yes, yeah.
I think that's it. I don't think there's any more bread.
No, because there's like whatever the fuck that oh no, that's whole grain, isn't it? The darker one?
Yeah, I think that's whole grain.
Oh, okay. Whole wheat? Buckwheat. No.
Isn't wheat already bucked?
No, because there's a difference between whole wheat and buckwheat. I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
dude, you're talking to the wrong guy here.
You're bucking up the wrong tree, isn't it?
That's fucking.
Yeah, but hey, I mean that's basically what this whole podcast is. It's just us shooting the shit. Okay, yeah. So Lifeforce. So let's summarize what the fuck is going on in this movie. So, we watched the actual full cut of this movie. There's a regular cut and then there's a theatrical cut, but we'll get into that a bit later. So we watched the actual version, because there's an easy way to tell the difference between the two. So we know for sure. So the movie starts out. You got your title sequence. Lifeforce. And it comes in with some opening narration, which is talking about how the spaceship Churchill is on a mission to observe or do some shit with Halley's Comet. And it's got like this special way. It looked like solar panel, like this huge array thing that like comes out of the sides of it.
Well, it comes out of the top because that's how space shuttles work.
Is it?
Yeah, the top opens up, and that's where the Canada arm comes out of. But I don't think that had a Canada arm.
No, I don't
put satellites in space. That's where the satellite, or not the fucking satellite, the solar panel arrays came out of.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the model, it didn't have the top open. I'm pretty sure like it was coming like out of the sides. He's looking up a picture of it. But yeah, so basically it's talking about how this spaceship called the Churchill is on a mission to get samples or like observe phenomena within Halley's Comet. And the crew aboard the Churchill is a mix of British and American astronauts, because it's like a joint mission. This is like, in the not too distant future sort of thing. So it's like our present, but not quite. So we have spaceships that can go all the way to, Halley's Comet when it passes by and take samples from it and shit. So they're approaching Halley's Comet, and they see on their scanners that there's an unidentified object at the head of the comet that's like hiding in its glow or whatever, like the whatever debris are burning off of a comet when it's doing its comet shit,
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. Well, so yeah, and so they determined that it's like 150 miles long.
The thing on the radar.
Yeah, the thing on the radar.
Right.
Yeah. And it's they said like 2 miles tall.
Minimum.
Yeah. So it's shaped like a dick. That's going to be, in case you couldn't tell, this movie is about space vampires. That drain your life force. They suck you dry. So there's going to be a lot of that imagery. I think in our little song that we put together for the intro of this is literally it's the lead space vampire lady. And she has very minimal lines in it. So, like, basically, all the dialogue you hear in that little intro song that we put together is it's basically all of the dialogue she actually says. And it's just her saying, oh, touch me, Carlson. Use my body. Like,
that's it.
That's it. It's great. It's amazing.
Okay, but here's a picture of the shuttle. So I'd say you're half right.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, so
it kind of opens.
It opens from the top, but it's not. I will for those of you watching on YouTube, we'll put the image up.
Yeah.
To show you.
And then next to it will be a picture of like a regular space
shuttle. A regular space shuttle, yeah, because like a regular space shuttle, it opens like the other way, like from the inside out.
Well, the hinges are on the side of the shuttle, on a real one.
Right, and so the seam is down the middle where they open. Yeah.
Right. Whereas on this, the hinges are kind of like.
You're basically on the top. They're on the top of the shuttle, and then they actually open up from the side. Yeah, kind of like the gull-wing doors of a DeLorean.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
And so that's where these solar panels come out. Oh, yeah. So the reason why that, it's not really that important, but like they make a note of it in this opening narration that because of those things on this shuttle, it's able to like rotate and like propel the Churchill at such speeds that it's able to simulate Earth-like gravity. And so that's like basically
like the ship in 2001.
Yeah, kind of like how the station or the ship or whatever in 2001 rotates in order to simulate gravity. But yeah, it's basically just a means of so that they don't have to do too much floating in outer space special effects.
Yeah,
while they're in the shuttle. So they come upon this penis in Halley's Comet. And of course, what do? They decide to go inside it. Of course.
They don't let it inside them.
No. Of course not. Why would you? It's 150 mile line. It's a monster. You
know where it's been.
You know where it's been, right? So they go inside it, and it's a team of 4, I believe, led by Colonel Carlson.
There's 2 other guys and some chick.
Yeah, with 2 other guys and a woman, who I believe. Carlson is one of the Americans on the crew, and then I think it's a mix of like there's 2 Americans, 2 British on this team, and I think the woman's one of the British ones.
I think she is.
Yeah, so they go into the space vampire penis, and they find in like a main sort of like large chamber, like a bunch of dead like alien bat creatures, that all appear to be dead. And so the first thing they do is they're like, oh hey, let's put this in a net, or like they call it like a
specimen bag.
A specimen bag.
But it's just a net.
It's a net.
It's not even a bag.
It's not. There's not a bag. Although like later we see when he burns it in order to like set fire to the Churchill. There is like a plastic wrapping around it, like within the net. So like there is like a bag.
There is a bag, but when they put the bag
over it initially, it just looks like a net.
It's just a net.
Yeah, I thought that was so weird. But Yeah. So, and then on the outside, the Churchill notices that there's like this umbrella-looking structure that like opens up. Because I guess like they know the space vampires can like sense them, and so they decide to like open up this like canopy thing that's like on the the testicle end of the ship, because like it's scrunched up into a ball first and then it like spreads open.
Right. So I think that's the tip.
Is that the tip?
Because it's just one ball.
Yeah.
You don't have one ball at where the balls are.
Yeah, but then the other end looks like Gandalf's staff, with like the squiggly.
Oh, you're right.
So I thought that was like the tip, and then the other end is like the ball. Yeah, you can get a picture of it. We'll put up a picture of it. Yeah, and so when it does that on the outside, and the Churchill notifies the team inside, this bright, like blinding light, like suddenly pours into the chamber, and it opens up a secret room. That leads to this other chamber that's filled with like the original Christopher Reeve's Superman, like Fortress of Solitude, like these crystal-lined structures that are all like, they look like, I guess they're like stasis pods or whatever, and they've got like a bunch of more dead things in them, except for 3 perfectly intact specimens, which look like humans. 2 males and 1 female. And that's going to be important because she's just called the Space Girl for the duration of the movie. But she's played by actress Matilda May.
That's Matilda.
Well, it's spelled Matilda, but you pronounce it Matilda because it's French. And so that's also presumably why she doesn't have that many lines besides, use my body and, touch me, Carlson. Yeah, so they, of course, along with the obvious, dangerous bat-looking thing, they decide to bring the 3 human-looking ones aboard as well. Jump cut to 30 days later, a month later, and the Churchill is coming back into orbit of Earth. And Mission Control is trying to get in contact with them, but they can't. So they send up the Space Shuttle Columbia. And mind you, this is 1985, so, the actual Columbia tragedy hasn't actually happened yet.
Yeah.
I'm looking at him because he's the history guy.
I'm the history guy. I'm pretty sure I could be fucking very wrong, and I apologize for everyone who died in these disasters. But I'm pretty sure Challenger was the shuttle that blew up on takeoff in the 80s. Mm-hmm. And then Columbia was the shuttle that blew up on re-entry in 2003?
Maybe.
Something like that?
That's also something you can look up. You've got your phone.
I do. So I'm looking at the spaceship. It doesn't look like a penis.
What are you talking about? It looks exactly like a penis. Well, I mean, like a space vampire penis.
Does that look like a space vampire penis to you?
Well, you don't know what a space vampire penis looks like.
So then how do you know?
Well, because it's a movie about space vampires. They're supposed to be sexy. They're supposed to be phallic imagery.
Yeah, whatever. I'll look up when fucking Columbia blew up.
Okay. Yeah, so they send up this shuttle that they're calling the Columbia to intercept the Churchill. And the crew of the Columbia gets on board to find that the interior of the Churchill has been completely scorched. There's been a fire on board, and all the crew are dead, burnt to a crisp. And then they go into the cargo bay and find that the 3 stasis pods containing the 3 space vampires are completely intact, and the 3 space vampires are completely unscathed. So they decide to, of course, bring them back down to Earth for testing, because obviously that's what you would do. Yeah. So they bring them down. God, and then what happens? They start running tests on or they're going to perform an autopsy on the girl.
Yeah.
Because hers is the only stasis pod that like popped open, like seemingly of its own volition, whereas the 2 male vampires are still perfectly sealed.
Yeah.
In their pods, and it's much to the hesitance of Dr. Fallada, who's leading this like research on it, because he's very curious about life after death and like things surrounding death and things like that. So he doesn't know, because they're aliens. He can't be truly sure that they are actually dead, even though by all accounts, like in terms of human biology, they would be considered dead. But because of their alien physiology, we don't know if that is just like their baseline. So yeah, so they're about to perform the autopsy, but then for some reason, like all the fucking doctors and like other personnel just kind of like leave the operating room and just leave like one guard in there with this space girl who's laying on the table. And like through some like psychic force, he's like drawn to her, and so he goes into the room, and like and he tries to touch her. He's like,
well, he does touch her.
Well, yeah, he does touch her, but like he touches her like more like on her collarbone, because I think he's just trying to like peel down the blanket to like get a slip of those nips, which he ends up doing anyway, because she wakes up, she sits up, and the blanket comes down. She's completely nude.
All three of them are.
Yeah, so the two males and her are just naturally naked, and they're basically naked like all the time until like the very end of the movie.
Yep.
Yeah. So they're naked like all the time. Yeah. So she shows up. So she like comes on to this security guard who's supposed to be overseeing her, and they start making out. And then there's like a really cool it looks like Ghostbusters. Like swirling energy effect, where she sucks him dry, and drains his life force and turns him into like this zombified, like this mummified husk. And that's when one of the other characters, who you think is going to be like one of the main characters, but he ends up like not actually contributing much.
He works at the
he works like at Michigan at the Space Research Center.
Yes.
The SRC, yeah. That's what it's called. Yeah, so he barges in because he sees this happen
on the monitor,
on the CCTV footage, and so he comes in, and obviously he's too late to actually save the guy, but that's when we get the first instance of the space girl being like, "Use my body," and so like they start making out, but then like Dr. Fulada and like a bunch of other people like also see this happening on the CCTV footage. So like he comes in. I guess the space girl figured that she wouldn't have enough time to actually train this other guy, so she just kind of leaves him like weak and flustered, sexually frustrated, blue like major blue balls, and yeah, so she's on the loose. She kills like two security guards like on her way out with like sexy space vampire magic that she like just like zaps them to death. Yeah, and then like blows, sugar glass out the windows, and then just like walks over the glass, like in her bare feet, out into the night. So they're like, well, shit, now we've got an alien on the loose.
So, obvious next step is, who do you call?
Oh yeah, you call
Call the fucking Special Air Service.
the special, the SAS. And that's where we meet our actual like one of our main characters, along with Colonel Carlson, and that is Colonel Kane.
Hell yeah!
So it's Colonel Carlson and Kane, attorneys at law. Have you been sucked dry by a space vampire? Call Carlson and Kane. So Colonel Kane shows up, and he's like asking this guy who got blue balled and Dr. Fulada, like what's going on, what happened, and they're like trying to explain it to him. And that's when they decide to now do an autopsy on the corpse, the mummified corpse.
Right, the security guard
that got sucked dry. And what happens is he ends up coming back to life
2 hours after
2 hours after his attack, after being sucked dry. And he also manages to like kind of homoerotically seduce one of the surgeons who was going to operate on him to like come close to him. Even though the special effects on the animatronics on this are very good, are incredible for 1985. Yeah, the special effects.
The effects on this movie are fucking really good. I'll give it really good props for that.
Yeah.
Props to the props department.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely amazing. It was done by someone who worked with ILM on Star Wars, but we'll get to that after the summary. Yeah, so the mummified corpse of the security guard who was attacked seduces one of the surgeons to get close to him, and then he sucks him dry, restoring his life and vitality, to where he once was, but then turning the surgeon into a mummified corpse. So that's where Dr. Fauci figures like, this is probably going to happen, again in the next 2 hours, to this surgeon, and that's when like at the same time they got
a call that
they found another body in the park of this woman, who's also been sucked dry.
But then
by the space girl.
So they get a call about that.
Yeah.
And then they also get a call that an escape pod from the Churchill
has been discovered in Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it quickly cuts over to Texas, and they find this escape pod, and lo and behold, Colonel Carlson is in the escape pod.
Hell yeah.
So they that was a weird burp. Sorry. So, oh God, what happened? So, I mean, I know they bring him over, but does the girl wake up first, or the girl who was sucked dry, her corpse, does she show up first?
Yeah, before Carlson arrives back in London, both the body of the girl they find in the park, she wakes back up. But they have her tied down to...
They have her tied down to the oof machine.
It says oof on the monitor.
Yeah.
But it's probably just a heart rate monitor.
Yeah. Yeah, so they've got her...
a fucking oof on it.
Yeah. So they've got her hooked up to the oof machine.
And she freaks out.
And it's a big oof from there because she explodes into dust.
Yeah. So she wakes up, and then also the surgeon that got his life force... That got.
He also explodes into dust.
And then the security guard that got the surgeon, he gets got, and he explodes.
Yeah, he doesn't explode. Because he didn't get his fix after another 2 hours, he shrivels back up again into a mummified corpse. And that's when Dr. Fauci pokes at him with a stick.
Dr. Fauci?
Yeah. He pokes at him with a stick. And then his ribs fall out and dust comes out. So that's, I guess, the most intact body from all of this, because the other two are literally just bits and dust. Yeah. But that's not relevant. That doesn't come up. I'm just saying that the most violent reaction we see from this life force draining is you explode into dust when you don't get your fix. Yeah, so that's that. But so now they bring in Carlson, and they have him explain what happened in those 30 days that we had jump cut to after they had brought in the vampires onto the Churchill. So he explains that similar to the original Dracula story, when Dracula is on the ship, I want to say it's the Demeter. I forget, but Dracula's his coffin's on a ship, when he's sailing to England, and he rises, every night, and he takes one of the crew, and sucks him dry, until basically no one but the captain is left, but then even the captain decides to nobly sacrifice himself, tied to the wheel, and then the ghost ship Demeter comes into port. And that's exactly what basically happened here. Was Carlson explains that one by one, the rest of the crew just start dropping like flies, and they all become mummified corpses, just as per the MO, until it's just him left. So he decides to essentially release all the oxygen into the shuttle.
Yeah.
So that it'll ignite, and then he uses a cool laser space blowtorch thing to burn through the aforementioned specimen bag to light the bat creature
on fire.
Corpse on fire, so that will spark the oxygen and set the Churchill on fire while he escapes in the escape pod that lands in Texas. So that's why, again, the ghost ship, the Churchill, shows back up in Earth's orbit, but, there's nobody there because everyone's dead. So he explains that that's what happened during the 30 days traveling back to Earth after visiting Halley's Comet and the space penis. And so they're like, okay, that's an awful lot. Why don't you get some sleep? He takes a nap and he has one hell of a wet dream where the space girl shows up and, she's all on that, you use my body, Carlson, touch me, Carlson, your usual space vampire shtick.
Yeah.
And it's got a nice little bit of foreshadowing. It's probably one of the subtlest things that this movie actually manages to accomplish in this scene by setting the location of the wet dream in the same location as the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert! I mean, we don't really hold back on spoilers. This is a spoilerific review. I mean, we're summarizing the entire goddamn movie, so expect spoilers. That's when they figure out, similar again to Mina Harker in the original Dracula story, Carlson has a psychic link to the space girl that they choose. Dr. Fallada decides to exploit this and hypnotize Carlson so that they can figure out the location of the space girl. And what Carlson sees is actually this redheaded nurse. And what he describes is that the space girl must be able to transfer her consciousness into other bodies as a means of disguising herself, while her regular body stays in a singular location, kind of like an astral projection sort of thing, like possession kind of thing. So they figure out that this woman is a nurse at some insane asylum, an asylum for the criminally insane, which is wardened. It's headed by Sir Patrick Stewart.
Fuck yeah.
So they go there and they meet up with Patrick Stewart and they say, oh, hey, we need to talk to this one nurse. So they talk to her, and I use the word talk to her very loosely because I guess something that Carlson also has because of his psychic connection to the space girl is that he can also just psychically read other people's minds and feelings and shit. So he's able. So as soon as he touches this nurse,
yeah, we think because it's not fucking explained in the movie.
It's not explained in the movie.
But what we think is that everyone that she's possessed, Carlson can still telecommunicate with them because of they have
Shit,
been
I swallowed wrong.
fucking vitamin water, dude.
Heineken flu.
But so we're just assuming that basically if you've been possessed by
the space girl, then Carlson can
read your mind.
Read your mind. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
a latent psychic influence sort of thing. Something like that. At least that's the best shit that we can come up with because
they're not
like you said,
fucking throwing us any bones here.
They're not throwing us anything here to work with. But yeah, so he's able to figure out, she's a masochist. She's an absolute masochist. She wants me to beat the information out of her.
Fucking
so he starts getting rough with her while Kane is I'm a natural voyeur.
It's
He
what?
just sits and he fucking watches Carlson manhandle this woman to figure out what's going on, and so he's able to read her mind and get an actual description of the next person that the space girl
what I just fucking realized?
What?
Right, okay, so it's determined that he can have a psychic connection to anyone who's been possessed by Space Girl.
As far as we determine.
As far as we can tell.
Yeah.
Right? So if that's the case, and he can tell, oh, she's a masochist.
Right.
Why doesn't he just use his psychic abilities to get the description of whoever she's moved on to next?
Well, no, that's precisely what he does.
Then why does he need to beat her?
Well, he has to open her mind. The idea is here. He says, she wants me to get the information out of her. So it's more like it's like she's less willing to like open her mind to like give him the description. So he has to like manhandle her first, and then like once she's like satisfied with that,
she'll give him.
She's able to like transmit the description of the next possessee into his mind, and so he's able to figure that out. That like during her rounds, she interacted with some child murderer. And the space girl transferred her consciousness into this child murderer. So they asked the warden, "Hey, we need to see this guy now because he's the guy we're actually looking for." And the warden's like, "Oh, all right, I'll do that for you." And he pats Carlson on the shoulder, which gives enough
That's your Patrick Stewart.
That's the best Patrick Stewart impression that I can do. It kind of devolves into a bit of Sean Connery.
It does, yeah.
It does. Yeah, I need to practice that. I used to do a very good Patrick Stewart impression. Yeah.
You did, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so he actually pats Carlson on the shoulder when he assures him that he can get him to see this guy, and apparently that's enough physical contact for Carlson to actually read his mind and figure out that it's actually the warden who the child murderer, I guess, must have passed on the space girl into him, Sir Patrick Stewart. So, like, in a ploy, they visit the child murderer and they ask, one of the orderlies to give them, some sedatives.
Give him a sedative.
Give him a sedative. Give him an enema.
Give him a sedative, and then give him an enema.
Right.
And then give him another sedative, and then give him a second enema.
Second enema. No, not the enema. Oh, I love that movie.
That's a good one.
That's Dracula Dead and Loving It is maybe we'll get to it.
Would you want it? Would you want to do like Young Frankenstein and?
Yeah. I think those would be fun to do at some point. So he ends up injecting Patrick Stewart with it, Sir Patrick Stewart.
Always gotta get that.
I always gotta get that. Even though
Motherfucker's knighted.
Yeah, although I don't know, was he knighted by 1985? That's something you can look up.
I don't think it matters because we're talking about him now.
We're talking about him now. Yeah. So now he is Sir Patrick Stewart. Yeah. Yeah. So they sedate him, and then Carlson actually asks like to get like a metric fuck ton of this sedative so that they can keep him under because he's worried that now that the space girl possessing Patrick Stewart knows that like he's on to her. He wants to make sure that Patrick Stewart doesn't, like wake back up and return to consciousness because that would allow, I guess, the space girl to slip out of him and like go back to her body. So he wants to like keep her sort of trapped inside Patrick Stewart's mind by keeping him under. So they go to the surgery wing and they go into the asylum's operating room. And that's where we get the other bit of audio clip that we used for the song, where it's like, "Why are you so perfect, so you?" And the space girl like starts talking like through Patrick Stewart's voice, and she's like, "I chose my form from your mind, the perfect feminine that you can think of," and shit. And then. Sir Patrick Stewart's first on-screen kiss is with him. So they fucking make out because the space girl is like through Carlson's eyes he's seeing the space girl, but obviously to everybody else it's Sir Patrick Stewart. So they end up making out, and that causes another like Ghostbusters containment unit breach. Looking shit to happen, which understandably startles Kane, and then kills the other bureaucrat guy. We forgot to mention that the fat bureaucrat guy who's like been with them, like also, but like he's not like really that important. Like same with the other guy who got blue balled. Like they're not really that important. The only people you really need to know the names of are Carlson, Kane, and Dr. Falata. Yeah. I mean, you don't even actually need to know who the hell Patrick Stewart actually plays as the warden. You just, he's basically just, Sir Patrick Stewart at that point,
At that point.
You know, like, yeah, like, it really doesn't matter. But so, yeah, so, no, she doesn't escape. She escapes in the nosebleed scene. But we're getting to that anyway. So, yeah, so it kills the fat bureaucrat guy. Carlson and Kane are still alive. Kane manages to grab more needles of the fucking sedative to put
jam him right
and just jam him like right into his neck.
Dual wielding.
Yeah, he's dual wielding. Yeah, 2 syringes, and he stabs them into Sir Patrick Stewart's neck while this containment breach is happening, to put him under again. And that's when Carlson like reveals she's been fooling us this whole time. She's been trying to lead us away from her so that she could, store more energy and more bodies and shit. And so that's when Kane realizes, like, oh, with the amount of time that we've spent away from London, this plague must have spread exponentially. If we hadn't found all of the bodies, like if the girl in the park that the space girl drained wasn't the only body.
And it
wasn't, because they load Patrick Stewart and the dead body of the fat bureaucrat onto a helicopter, and they fly back to London to see that London is on fire. London has fallen.
Have you seen that movie?
I have not. I haven't seen either of the Has Fallen.
There's 3.
There's 3?
You have Olympus Has Fallen, you have London Has Fallen, and then you have The Angel Has Fallen.
You're shitting me.
No.
What?
I enjoyed all of them.
Nah, you would.
Those are my kind of movies.
Yeah, those are his kind of movies.
Plus, I love Gerard Butler, okay?
Okay. I mean, that's fine.
You can't. Gerard Butler is Gerard Butler here, okay? You can't.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, he's Spartacus, and,
No.
Is he not?
He's King Leonidas, you dipshit. Spartacus, fuck.
Wait, who's the, No, the gladiator, are you not entertained?
It's Russell Crowe.
Oh, that's Russell Crowe. I get them confused. That's right. Yeah, that's Russell Crowe, yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, he's also in Les Mis.
Is he? I don't know that. I've never seen that.
I think it's also Russell
the kid who plays Dustin in Stranger Things, isn't he in that movie?
Is he?
Because he can sing.
He can't sing. Yeah, but I thought that was just like another curly-haired kid.
I don't fucking...
Yeah, you can look it up.
Back to Google.
Back to Google. The Google machine. Yeah, so London has fallen. And there's a bunch of these zombie vampires running around because, and they're all sucking each other off. They're all sucking each other dry.
What's the movie you said?
What, Gladiator?
No, the other one.
Oh, Les Miserables.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. The Miserables. That's how you spelled it, but it's French. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just like Matilda.
Ah! Hugh Jackman's in it.
Yeah. Yeah, he plays the guy that Russell Crowe is like trying to imprison. Because he stole some bread or something.
Oh, and Amanda Seyfried.
Yeah. And fucking
Anne Hathaway.
Yeah, Anne Hathaway. That's yeah, the Princess Bride. No, the Princess Diaries. Yeah, that's
Jesus fuck.
Yeah, God, no.
Oh,
that's Inigo Montoya.
Yeah, you're on a roll here, Darian.
I am. Well, it's one of those. It's a Monday.
It's Friday.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So it's basically it's like a zombie apocalypse, but instead of zombies, it's vampires. So it's like I Am Legend. In case you didn't know that, although I'd imagine that people who do know horror know that the creatures in I Am Legend are in fact vampires and are not zombies.
I didn't know that for a very long time.
No, I know you didn't. Yeah, we had this whole thing where we were talking about it when we were watching the movie, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I mean it's like I Am Legend," and he's like, "Wait, that's zombies. You're talking about the Will Smith movie?" And I'm like, "Yes, even in the Will Smith movie, they are technically vampires. They avoid sunlight, like they're vampires."
I didn't know it. I didn't know it. I didn't know it.
No, I know you didn't.
I didn't know it. I didn't know it. Okay, I didn't know it. I didn't know it.
He didn't know it. So, oh god, what? Oh yeah. So they're on the helicopter, and this is where the nosebleed scene happens.
Yes.
I call it the nosebleed scene.
It's a face bleed.
Yeah, face bleed, because it's coming out of their eyes. I think it's coming out of their nose, and it's coming out of their mouth. The blood is just pouring out of Sir Patrick Stewart and the dead bureaucrat guy, and it pools into like this puddle, and then it rises up and it turns into Matilda May, and it just looks like Matilda May, but she's covered in blood like Carrie, and then she screams, and then she returns back into a big puddle of blood, and that's the whole thing, and apparently that lets Carlson know that she's gone back to her regular body.
It makes no sense.
It makes no fucking sense, but it's amazing. I mean, it's a good effect. It's a great effect because it's it's pooling in midair, and it's rotating as it turns into Matilda May. It's great. But it makes no fucking sense. So they go to see the Prime Minister of England, only to see that he has also.
It's not Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah, it's not Margaret Thatcher.
Even though it's fucking 1985.
Yeah, but we're saying this is
the Iron Lady.
This is the not too distant future, so it's like our reality, but not.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah. And so they see that he's succumbed to this vampirism. And so they just dip. They just fucking dip.
They don't even tell any...
No, they don't tell anybody else as they're walking out. And there's military...
It's a whole facility.
It's a whole facility.
Filled with politicians and bureaucrats and military personnel. And they don't tell fucking anyone...
No, they just dip.
That there's a vampire in there.
Yeah. It's great. It's amazing. So they take the helicopter and they fly to this this base that's just outside of London. I forget what the base is actually called. But yeah, so they go there, and they're quarantined very briefly until Kane's we know exactly how this infection works, so we can guarantee you that we are not infected. And apparently that's enough for them to see the general who's heading up this operation at this base. So they talk with him, and he explains to them that so far we have all of London contained with barricades and all of that shit. But if push comes to shove, then we're suggesting the nuclear option.
Yeah, there's some NATO general in fucking Brussels. I think is what he says.
I think is what he says. Yeah, there's a NATO general who's even heading it up higher than this guy. Who's suggesting that they just fucking nuke London
if it gets out of hand.
If it gets out of hand.
If they can't keep it contained.
Yeah. And so Carlson's I know how to stop it, and they see there's a giant blue sky beam, that, the classic, it's in Suicide Squad, it's in 2012's The Avengers, it's the giant blue sky beam. And he's those are human souls, They're being collected by the ship. He's talking about the umbrella opening on the ball side of the space penis, which has enacted a geostationary orbit directly above London.
Yep.
And so Carlson dips, not letting Kane know what's going on or where he's going, and so then Kane has to go out into London after him. And so he thinks because the soldier that fucking Carlson decks in order to get his hands on a vehicle.
I have no idea what he does to this guy.
Well, because remember the soldier says he mentioned something about the SRC, and the next thing I knew, I was on the ground.
Yeah,
so
but there was also shots fired, so I don't know.
Right? Yeah. No, it's vague because we just have this guy's testimony, so it's he said, But so that's why Kane goes to visit Dr. Fauci at the SRC because he thinks that that's where Carlson is going. And meanwhile, as it turns out that Dr. Fauci has figured out a way to kill the space vampires, and that's not directly stabbing them through the heart with leaded iron. but about 2 inches below the heart into their kundalini, which is their energy center.
Fucking Kundalini.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the energy center because it's life force. They're space energy vampires. They don't drink blood, so they don't actually need blood in their heart, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, they need energy in their kundalini.
Brother.
But he figured this out by killing one of the male vampires. So one of the male vampires is dead. But one of them is still up and running, along with the space girl. But unfortunately, he has also become a space vampire, Dr. Filata. And so
Kane
shoots him in his kundalini, and he dies. Yeah, he gets his back blown out. Which is also a very nice effect.
Yeah, it was a good effect because it.
Yeah, it was his actual back getting blown out. From such spectacular sex is a practical effect, but then it has
added,
more of the visual Ghostbusters
computer effect.
And
it blended really well. It looked pretty badass. Oh, but what I was gonna say is, it's a iron spike coated in lead.
Leaded iron, yeah.
Leaded iron. So
there's a leaded iron
something
spike.
lead coated in iron.
Yeah.
Which is why it doesn't make sense when Kane shoots him, because he shoots him with. And I totally called this, dude, when we were watching this.
Yeah.
We didn't know what sidearm he had.
Oh, that's right. Excuse me.
And I was like, I bet it's a Browning high powered, because that's like what the British used when we used the 1911. And I fucking nailed it because oh my god,
he did. Yeah,
because I'm a firearm.
Yeah, firearms in history. Yeah,
that's my shit. So it's a 45 ACP, and obviously it's probably gonna be a full metal jacket because that's what most rounds are.
Yeah,
but it's gonna be lead coated in copper.
Right.
So how the fuck does it kill him?
Well, and so that's why I think because
it's not lead coated in iron.
If you remember, there was an earlier scene where Dr. Filata calls them on the phone, and he's doing research, but he doesn't describe too much of it, and we see that he just he just has this crate that has this specific iron spike in it. That's it's very ornate. And I think it has some kind of little placard on the side of it, when he opens the crate.
Right.
And so I feel and we'll get to this later when we talk about the factoids pretty soon here, because we're almost done with the summary. But I think that there was more to his research that we didn't actually get to see.
Right.
And I think that's what it is. So my speculation is that the reason why Kane shooting him in the Kundalini was able to kill him, even though they were just, regular bullets as opposed to the leaded iron spike, I think that's because you can only kill the actual, the proper space vampires, like the two males and the space girl.
A human that's been infected,
human has
so
been
to speak.
infected. I think you could probably just kill them by shooting them or stabbing them in the Kundalini. And I think that's fine. Yeah, so I think the whole leaded iron thing is probably just specific to the actual alien vampires.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But the human ones are like, fine. You can just do whatever.
So this should be like an easy op for the military.
Right.
They just have to shoot everyone.
Yeah, but Dr. Fauci didn't tell them about the Kundalini, so they don't know to shoot him in the Kundalini. Yeah.
Well, he told Kane and Carlson, if you hit him in the Kundalini, they die.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he did.
So why didn't? So it's more so that Kane and Carlson didn't fucking tell the military that the Kundalini is their Achilles heel.
Yeah, it's their Achilles heel.
So.
Yeah.
That's on them.
Yeah. Yeah, that is. But, Carlson's not in his right mind. He's in love on a level you would never understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's when Dr. Fauci says that apparently all the victims have a special connection, psychic connection. So he's able to reveal to Kane that it's the chapel in
right
in London. With the
let me look it up because it's the actual one.
Yeah, it's the actual one. It's the one that they use at the end of the 2019 Hellboy reboot. It's the
cathedral.
It's the cathedral in London. It's it's the scene to be, the hot new scene, So so Kane goes there, and he actually makes it like through there on foot because the fucking vampires blew up his ride that he commandeered. But meanwhile, Carlson is already there. And he's like getting jiggy with it with the space girl, who's doing more of her, use my body, kiss me, just a little more, just a little more. So they're making out, they're getting jiggy with it. And so Kane, essentially, traverses London on foot, fucking taking out vampires left and right.
He's fucking going to town.
He's going to town until he makes it to the cathedral. And on the steps at the front door is the other male vampire, who's like acting as a sort of conduit for the human souls to like go through him. No. The human soul. Yeah, no. He's the conduit. They go through him. He transmits the souls to her, the space girl, and then she beams them up through the giant sky beam to the mothership. Right. Yeah, that's what's going on. So Kane has the spike, and so he stabs the male and the vampire in the Kundalini, and we actually get to see another. It's actually not the best. It's one of the lesser special effects in the movie, but he turns into one of the giant bat creatures. And we see, like their true vampiric form, for a hot second, before he dies. So that severs that bit of connection. But apparently, you're one of us, Carlson. You always have been. She says to him as they're making out. So like apparently he's been a space vampire or something, but again, they never explained.
They never explained it, and what we devised was when was because it was revealed that he was the one who opened her pod.
Yes,
in the space.
That's right. Yeah.
In the space shuttle.
Yeah.
So, and then Carlson talked about how after he opened it, he tried to kiss her, and then that a part of her was transferred
into him. Yeah,
like permanently.
Yeah. So I think it's kind of like it's like in the Dead Space video games where like the marker like implants a piece of the code into Isaac's mind, and like that's why it still needs Isaac alive by the end of Dead Space 2, so that it can make the marker whole to trigger the apocalyptic convergence event. So I think it's like that, where it's like the aliens need to like transfer like a little piece of whatever they've got going on into a human host for later use, so that like they don't have like all their cards in one hand, sort of thing, Like it's their secret, it's their elaborate secret plan.
That's their ace in the fucking hole.
That's their ace in the hole. It's just some rando, who has that last little piece of the puzzle that they need to, kickstart the apocalypse or whatever. Tale as old as time. Tale as old as time. So yeah, that's kind of what we speculate. But yeah, all we get is that you're one of us. You always have been, and that makes no fucking sense. But so Kane shows up. He tosses the spike down into the catacombs, down through the hole where they're getting jiggy with it, and Carlson decides to double penetration, and he impales both her and him on the spike, straight through the Kundalini, and then they get beamed up into the mothership like together.
Yeah.
Yes. And then the space penis, it goes on its merry way. So it's great stuff, great stuff, and that's the end of the movie. So moving on to factoids. The reason why this is considered to be Tobe Hooper's like nail in the coffin, so to speak, in terms of his career. Is because this was played with like all sorts of terribleness.
This was
which is really funny because it's got John Dykstra doing the effects.
Tex.
He's the guy that we mentioned, did the effects, on the first Star Wars movie. We've got Dan O'Bannon on the writing side of things. He wrote, the original Alien movie,
Right.
for Ridley Scott. And then, Tobe Hooper, who at this point, by 1985, has, things like, has done the 2 Texas Chainsaw movies.
I think the second one was kind of a little worse than the first one.
Well, but that was because it was going more for like
a comedic
a comedy. Because they're like, I mean, how could you really top the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Right.
Without making it ridiculous.
But without making it so ridiculous. Yeah.
Right. Okay, that's true.
And then also
Poltergeist
under his belt. So you have like these 3 people. And
like these are all heavy hitters.
These are heavy hitters, in the industry, especially in horror. Oh, you've also got score by Henry Mancini, who's done like Pink Panther,
the Pink Panther theme, and then he also did Moon River from Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Breakfast at Tiffany's.
The movie with Audrey Hepburn, not the song Breakfast at Tiffany's by Deep Blue something.
Yeah, so like, and you look at this movie, like when you actually watch this movie, like we said, the special effects, the way it's shot, shot composition, color grading, like all like it's a good looking movie. It's a good looking movie, and it's a competently made movie. Like I don't think anybody could argue that this isn't a movie. Like that you could actually watch. Like it's watchable.
Oh, very much so. Yeah.
Like very much so. Like it's not the kind of terrible where like it's unbearable to like actually sit through. This is a competently made movie that you can actually sit through and like enjoy. Like it's entertaining, but not like a so bad it's good kind of entertaining. Which is amazing. Why? Like this movie like was basically set up for success, with all the people attached to it, and yet it failed because of varying factors. And so I don't know, you wanted to expand more on that because you're the little factoid, you're the history, you're the fact guy.
I'm the fact guy.
You're the fact guy.
Yeah. So this movie was originally filmed and marketed under the title of the book that it was based off of, which was Space
Vampires
by Colin Wilson.
Yes, English author Colin Wilson.
But they ended up changing it to Lifeforce because you name a movie, the Space
Vampires.
Everyone kind of knows what the fuck the movie's about.
Well, yeah, and it sounds like awfully cheesy. Like that's what you would call like a 50s sci-fi movie. You're like the thing from another planet. The Space Vampires.
Right. So they ended up changing it.
Fresh meat for Hitler's sex dungeon.
So they ended up changing it to Lifeforce.
Yeah.
But what ended up happening... Oh, a quick little fact is fucking Billy Idol was offered the lead role.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Because Tobe Hooper directed the Dancing with Myself music video.
Oh.
So he knew Billy Idol. And he's like, you want to be in this movie?
Yeah.
And the only reason Billy Idol wasn't in the movie is because he's like, nah, dude, I'm on tour.
Right.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. So the movie was obviously shot in England.
Yeah.
And it was originally scheduled for a 17-week shooting production, but it went 5 weeks over.
That's right. Yeah.
But apparently Cannon just kept throwing money at the movie. Yeah,
because they just let Hooper take the reins.
Right.
And like have like really a lot of an ultimate amount of creative freedom.
Yeah.
Over what was going on here. And so like when he was sending them dailies of like, the shots and scenes that he was making, they were like, great. Let's
keep going.
Keep doing that. And
yeah.
So they were just throwing money at this thing.
Yeah, but what ended up happening is in an interview with Bill Malin, one of the male vampires, the film, obviously, like we already said, the film went over schedule for filming.
Yeah. 5 weeks.
And then some of the more important scenes didn't end up getting shot, and so the film was momentarily shut down for a period of time. Mm-hmm. Or I should say that important scenes weren't shot because the film got temporarily shut down because Canon was throwing so much money at it
Mhm.
that they didn't have the budget to throw any more at it.
Right.
So they had
yeah.
to postpone production until
Yeah.
like, they got some more money.
Right. Yeah.
And so there was just hiccup, chuck hole after chuck hole, hiccup after hiccup.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of a clusterfuck. And
Mm.
so the initial cut, the theatrical cut that
That was distributed to theaters, the initial cut
was
those
the one that Hooper wanted,
Yeah.
which was 128 minutes long, and this
Mhm.
had extra 12 minutes that the actual theatrical cut didn't have.
Yes. Yeah.
And the initial cut is what we watched.
Yes.
And
And-
unfortunately, I have to say that those extra 12 minutes didn't add jack shit.
Yeah. Didn't really help, and so that's why we're speculating is that like a lot of these things that we've mentioned
Because
that
it
could have
was
been
so
expanded-
plagued.
Yeah, because it was so plagued with like with disaster after
And
disaster
production
fuck ups. We're speculating that
there was still
stuff like those
wasn't
unfilmed scenes must have been left on the cutting room floor, and that must have been like stuff that would have helped to better explain like Dr. Fauci's research on vampires and like figuring out like because they even mention, I think he even says that like this must be like where the ancient vampire legends of old must have come from, is because these aliens must have visited us before,
right.
like that sort of shit. And you're like, well, where is he getting that? Where did he get the goddamn spike from? Like we don't know.
None of that's explained.
None of that's explained. How does any of this psychic shit work with Carlson and the space girl? Like they literally, Carlson shows up, explains that he burnt down the Churchill and escapes. He goes to sleep, has a wet dream, and then they immediately start hunting the space girl who's transferring bodies.
Yeah.
Like we
from body to
get
body.
and then they basically only track her down like one position, which is to the mental hospital.
Yeah, and they catch her there.
And they catch her there. And then suddenly London has fallen.
Yeah, it's turned to shit.
It's turned to shit.
And
That's
keep in
literally
mind, like this whole movie spans like 3 days.
Yeah, like at most.
They literally spend like only 1 day hunting her down.
Yeah.
And they fucking nail her.
Yeah.
Like,
They literally do it like the day of him waking up from his wet dream. Because that's literally that night.
Yeah.
And they hypnotize him in the morning. And then they immediately set out to go find her. And they arrive at the mental asylum by that next night. Yeah. So.
And then they catch him, or her. They catch Patrick Stewart, which is possessed by her.
Yeah.
And then all that crazy shit happens. And then that same night is where the rest of the movie takes place.
Yeah.
Because London is. It's that night.
Yeah, it's literally that night.
And it takes like and the reason we say it's probably 3 days, because right there, that's only 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
The reason we say 3 days is because when they initially bring the vampires down
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning of the movie, and then you have to consider the fact that Carlson landed in Texas.
Yeah.
And they had to get him to London.
Yeah.
Which is like an 11-hour flight.
Right, and remember, it was still daylight in the park scene when they find the corpse,
and when all this other shit is happening.
Yeah, whereas it's definitely dark enough for Carlson to go to sleep to have the wet dream by the time he shows up.
Right.
So it literally is within the span of that day that all of this happens, where the guard gets killed by the space girl. He then kills the surgeon. And then the space girl also kills this other lady
in the park.
And they find her, and we get the oof machine and all of that. And then they find Carlson and bring him to London, and that's all within the span of presumably that one day.
Yeah.
So really, like it's more like 2 days, I guess. Isn't it?
I guess it's more like 2.5 days.
Yeah, like just over 2 days. Like as far as we can tell from the way.
It's structured.
And so that's what makes me feel like if this had like another extra like 20 or 25 minutes, I would think, dedicated to them fleshing out the bit where
the doctor's
they are on the hunt. Yeah, with the doctor's research,
them hunting her down.
She's doing like more body swapping.
Right. And the whole reason that she goes from just flat out murdering people.
Right.
So body swapping is because she'd leave a trail of bodies, and she wanted to prevent that, but still collect
enough energy beam up in the space beam. So that's why she was hopping bodies, was to just because I guess in her possessed form she can only like drain like a little bit at a time.
We think it would have been better if like there's extra time for the doctor's research on vampires and shit like that. Mm-hmm. More time of them hunting her down, where she starts to get more sloppy, and then she just says "fuck it" and starts murdering more people. Right,
and then that is what eventually leads them to the mental asylum.
Right,
and then the movie can progress like from there.
Right,
like, basically as usual.
as it
did. Yeah, and I think that would have. Oh yeah, now that would have given more time to establish the psychic link.
Right, while they're hunting her down.
Yeah, while they're hunting her down. Yeah.
So if they just added those two things over like an extra 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Because the movie's like what? It's an hour and like 50 some odd minutes.
Yeah. What I remember.
What's 128 minutes? 2 hours is 120 minutes. So it's basically 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like an extra 20 minutes, that's fine.
Yeah.
For a movie.
Right.
To make it like, so it's 2 hours and 8 minutes.
Yeah.
So, hell, add an extra, like we said, an extra 20 to 25 minutes. Let's put on the high end at 25.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what? 132?
Yeah.
133.
133. Yeah.
Pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you would think that's long. And it definitely is long, especially for a horror movie. But like,
that's like the length of a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, because this is
most
more
Marvel movies.
Yeah, this is more sci-fi. Yeah, but you got to remember this is 85.
Dude, fucking Star Wars.
Oh wait, it was the 77? Was the original Star Wars like?
Dude, Star Wars is like an hour and like 20 some odd, 2 hours and 20 some odd minutes.
How is it?
Yeah, New Hope. Something like that.
Okay.
Let me fucking look it up.
Yeah.
And then obviously Empire and.
Yeah. They are definitely longer.
Those are like 2 hours and like 30 some odd minutes.
Yeah.
Those are definitely longer.
Yeah.
So having like a 2.5 hour movie, that's nothing.
No, you're right. Yeah.
Plus,
and I think this movie definitely would have benefited from that.
Yeah.
I think. Like in the long run. Oh well, but then that's the thing is like in addition to the fact that there is so much that feels like it's missing, they actually took out that 12 minutes for the theatrical cut, because when TriStar Pictures, it was made by Canon, but it was distributed to theaters by TriStar.
Right.
And so execs at TriStar thought that even what was there, like specifically with the opening, the 12 minutes was mostly cut from the opening sequence where they discover the space penis and board it. And so that's why in the theatrical cut, you see, unlike the initial cut, where there's like a proper title sequence that's like passing over this really cool model meteor shot. And then there's like an opening narration describing, the Churchill and like what its mission is and everything that's going on.
Right.
That opening narration is just replaced with white text that scrolls up on a black background.
Like Star Wars.
Like Star
Wars. White, not yellow.
Yeah.
And no stars.
Yeah, it's literally just opening crawl that it delivers that. And then it just cuts to the ship basically already kind of discovering the space penis.
Right.
And then they just go in, and like all the opening credits that were in that opening sequence have been replaced with like red text as opposed to the blue text of the opening credits in the initial cut, and they just overlay it over the scene, like it's the opening of an old TV show, where the actors' names and stuff are appearing like next to their faces, like a sitcom. It's crazy, yeah.
So I take that back, like. New Hope and Empire, they were 2 hours 5 minutes, 2 hours 7 minutes, respectively.
Okay, yeah, but that's that is still a 2 hour movie, So I guess that isn't.
But you gotta think about like the movie Patton, which was about George S. Patton, the general from World War II, and that has George C. Scott playing Patton, and that movie's fucking 3 hours long, and that was 1973.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but that's like...
But that was more like a biopic.
Yeah, that was like a biopic.
Like a war
Yeah, biopic. Yeah. I mean, it's what would definitely be considered Oscar bait,
I
nowadays.
think it did win an Oscar.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, I think it got several.
Yeah, I've never actually seen it. That's not
I
my
liked it.
scene. No, I know.
Those are also my kind of movies.
Those are your kind of movies, exactly. Yeah, and seeing that's why it's you and me, against the world,
But yeah, I think if they had some, if they had
the extra money and time to actually, flesh out some of these things, and then definitely also if fucking TriStar didn't completely revamp the opening there, I think it would have done. I mean, it did decent numbers, I think, in the box office, but like it kind of. I mean, no, like it dwindled. Like it was tricklesome at best. Like, yeah,
it's pretty bad.
Yeah,
like the budget was like 21 million, and they
Mhm.
made like 11 million in the box office.
yeah, like and that's in total.
Yeah,
So
it was bad.
it definitely, and so that's essentially what kind of killed Tobe Hooper's career, and what turned him into making direct to DVD films for the rest of his days.
Yeah,
which is sad, but it is what it is. So yeah, a movie with so many great people attached to it, you think it's set up for success and ultimately falls into the miserable pit of failure.
unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Lifeforce, 1985, directed by Tobe Hooper. Nice little bookend, from Texas Chainsaw to this, So final thoughts. I guess this is
Our ratings.
We're introducing a rating system. Where we
From here on out,
from here on out, there's going to be a rating system.
it's gonna be out of 100 in increments of 5.
Yeah, in increments of 5%. So so you said you didn't like this film as much as me.
Yeah. Like what I originally said, I
Mhm.
told you, I think I'm gonna knock it down
Mhm.
to it's either gonna be a 70 or a 75.
Excuse me.
Come on,
I'm sorry. I drank a little too much.
a little too much vitamin water.
A little too much.
Gives you the
vitamin water.
burpsies.
Yeah. Oh, fuck me. Yeah. So so you're saying 70, 75. I obviously enjoyed this a lot more. But even then, like I can, take a look at its flaws, and I would still say like 80, 85.
It's still really high.
I mean, it's very well. It's because at the end of the day, like I said, it's competently made. It's still very entertaining. Like I don't think the flaws are enough to detract from its overall entertainment value. It's more just from like story and like narrative purposes that the flaws detract.
That's true.
But otherwise, you can still watch this movie and like get it and
You have a very good grasp of what's going on.
Yeah.
There's just some little flaws.
Yeah, exactly. And so,
But for me, that's enough.
Right. No, yeah, I know that's definitely enough for you. But yeah, it's definitely not. I would not put this in the category of like a so bad it's good, where the entertainment value is because it's like shit.
Right.
I would say the entertainment value is genuinely because it's an enjoyable film. It's a fine piece of media. So so 80 to 85% from me. I don't think your 70s would probably get you like a DVD release, but I would definitely buy this on Blu-ray.
No, I think a 70 would still give me fucking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a 70 would still. I'd still buy if I thought a movie was a 70%, I'd still probably buy it.
You'd still buy it, yeah, and probably just not watch it as often. So I would definitely purchase this on Blu-ray, and I would be proud to have it in my collection. That's the highest recommendation I could give 1985's Lifeforce.
So, episode 3.
Episode 3.
Season 3, episode.
Season 3, episode 1.
My bad. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Season 3, episode 1.
Season 3, episode 1. We're planning on doing these with a bit more consistency. I want this to go up on
Monday.
Tomorrow.
Okay.
So I would say we could crank out another one next Friday and have it up for release next
Monday.
Yeah, we're not doing shit We can
We're
do
not
these
doing
weeklies.
Yeah, we can do these weeklies.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 2020. You know, with the Heineken flu. Like, what the fuck else are we gonna do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can actually be a little more consistent with our upload schedule.
A lot more consistent.
A lot more consistent.
Actually,
Yeah.
considering it's been 2 years since
Yeah,
the fucking first one.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
To go from fucking 2 years to weekly.
right. Yeah, that's
It's
a
like,
lot.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're not exactly planning on committing to a series
Quite yet.
You know, like Halloween or Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th, because we feel like just to keep our train of thoughts consistent, we
Or
wouldn't want
Hellraiser.
to. Yeah, or Hellraiser.
I haven't seen those movies.
No, you haven't.
I'd love to see those movies.
Yeah. Those would be great. Actually, I think you might enjoy those movies. But yeah, just to keep our train of thought consistent as we talk about them and make these episodes, we figured that, you know, we might, if we're going to commit to a series, like we actually commit to those and not like break them up with other movies in between. So it would essentially be us marathoning like every movie in those series.
Right.
And that does seem like a lot. That's something that we can ease into. So for the most part, we're still going to be doing one-shots, one-offs.
Yeah.
Singular movies. So for season 3, episode 1, I turned Nolan on to the idea of watching The Frighteners, which is more just like how Lifeforce, today's movie, was more of a sci-fi horror. The Frighteners is kind of more leans into a bit more of comedy horror. It's directed by Peter Jackson.
Fucking Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, but this was prior to, well, this was even prior to his King Kong remake. So this was still, we're still getting like the latter end of Peter Jackson, who directed like Brain Dead, Dead Alive, you know, and like his other, which are essentially, yeah, they're Australian horror comedies. So this is like his forte. But it's starring Michael J. Fox as our lead, Frank Bannister, Jake Busey as the serial killer, bad guy, antagonist, and also Jeffrey Combs as from Reanimator as a special undercover FBI agent who also plays a bit of an antagonist role. So that's going to be next week's movie is The Frighteners, Peter Jackson's The Frighteners.
Yeah, I think that should be good.
Yeah, I think that should be good. I think that'll be fun. So yeah, that's basically all there is left to this episode. We hope you enjoyed listening. For those of you on YouTube, we hope you enjoyed whatever it is we ended up putting on the screen for you to watch. So yeah, we'll see you next time.